Welcome to the Night Visitors, where we share purportedly true accounts of encounters with vampires. The following is a true story. Names and identifying details have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved. Tonight's story comes to us from Romania, from a village 30 kilometers north of Cluj-Napoca in the Transylvania region, and it took place in the mid-1950s. I heard this story about 15 years ago when I first moved to Romania from the father of an acquaintance of mine who witnessed the events firsthand as a young child living in the village. Elena was a young woman who had always been different. She had come to the village as a teenager to marry a local man, but her husband left shortly after their wedding for a factory job in the city, and he never returned. Locals feared that he had been imprisoned or worse by the occupying Soviet forces. Elena lived alone, preferring to keep to herself, and she spent her time tending her garden and raising farm animals. The neighbors were suspicious of her, and she always seemed to have money and abundant food, even in times of severe poverty and scarcity. Despite the official state atheism promoted by the Communist Party, the country folk remained quite religious and believed deeply in the supernatural, and they often attributed misfortune and natural disasters, as well as unexpected blessings, to spiritual forces. They knew Elena was a witch, and that she was responsible for the recent calamities that had befallen the village, such as crops failing and cows not giving milk. One night, a neighbor named Luminița, who lived directly across from Elena, woke in the middle of the night to find Elena in her yard stealing milk from a cow. The following morning, Luminița examined the cow to find 2 puncture wounds where she assumed blood had been extracted. The village women had long thought Elena to be a witch, but this recent discovery was damning proof that she was also a Strigoi vie, a living vampire. Luminița called her friends Mihaela and Irina to her house, and together they formed a plan to combat the spiritual attacks rained down on them by the vampire witch that walked in their midst. In Orthodox Christianity, the dominant faith in the region, it is customary to fast on Wednesdays and Fridays by abstaining from meat and dairy products while praying with special attention and devotion. Every Wednesday and Friday while fasting, Luminița, Mihaela, and Irina would gather at the local church to light candles and recite various acatiste, or litanies. And pray against the witchcraft they believed Elena was throwing at them. As they prayed, Elena, wherever she happened to be, would fall to the ground in convulsive fits and shake uncontrollably. These twice-weekly prayer sessions lasted for about a month until the local police officials intervened after hearing the superstitious gossip spreading throughout the village. They decided to take matters into their own hands and forcefully dragged Elena to Cluj to undergo a full medical examination. When doctors found nothing physically wrong with her, they committed her to a mental hospital, which was more of a prison to contain people they deemed beyond help, a sad fate for many during the communist period. Sadly, Elena never returned alive. She died a few months later under mysterious circumstances, and her body was returned to the village for burial. Perhaps out of a sense of guilt, the villagers combined their scarce resources and gave Elena a traditional funeral and hoped to put this sad, surreal chapter of their lives behind them. The story did not end there. Shortly after Elena's funeral, Michaela's husband Stefan, who was a practical and skeptical man, began to complain of nightly visits from Elena, who he said would stand at the foot of his bed staring at him with empty eyes. He even tried to talk to her, but she never responded. Stefan would drift in and out of sleep, awakening at various points in the night to find Elena still standing there, and she would only disappear with the rooster's first crow at daybreak. As the days passed, Stefan's health declined. He started coughing up blood and lost weight rapidly. Michaela could not see Elena herself, but she watched helplessly as Stefan stared at this unholy apparition, trying in vain to converse with her and beg her to leave. Michaela also noticed that flowers she had cut from the garden only the night before would wither and dry in the course of a few hours during one of Elena's nightly visits. Michaela remembered the old folklore about restless spirits preying on the living. She knew she had to do something. She confided in Irina and Luminitsa, and together they consulted the local priest who agreed to help them. One clear summer morning, they climbed the hill to the village cemetery and dug up Elena's grave. And not surprisingly, despite the hot summer weather, they found her body as fresh as the day she had been buried, with blood dripping from the corners of her mouth. The priest sang prayers of exorcism while burning incense and sprinkling holy water over Elena's desecrated grave. And after he had finished the ritual, they drove a stake through her heart, as the old legend suggested. Stefan's health improved immediately, and he never again complained of nightly visits from Elena. Life continued as normal, and the villagers only ever talked of this incident in hushed tones and as rarely as possible, perhaps out of a sense of shame for clinging to what they were told was superstitious nonsense that had no place in a society blessed with the light of socialism. I hope you have enjoyed tonight's account. I have told the story here exactly as it was recounted to me. Personally, I have conflicted feelings about this story. I feel bad for Elena and for the way she was treated in life and death by her community. But this story teaches an important lesson, which is that people cling to their beliefs in times of trouble, and perhaps even as a reactionary response to ideologies and movements that attack and belittle those same beliefs. This is as true today all over the world as it was in that Romanian village 70 years ago. Anyway, let's be kind to one another and remember that there are far bigger monsters in the world than vampires, and scapegoating and divisiveness only serve to give those monsters more power. If you'd like to share a personal vampire encounter, please contact us at thenightvisitorsvrs@gmail.com and give us the chance to share your story here. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening. You can find The Night Visitors on your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter where you will receive each week's episode directly in your inbox, as well as articles on vampire lore and vampires in popular culture. A special thanks to composer Tim Kulig for our intro music, Haunted House.